Wow. I've had to follow that before, but this time I get to do it with you. So, Christian, thank you for that. Thank you again. Thanks for sharing your gift and for being a really powerful voice for this community. Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Herron. I serve as the president at Degrees of Change and the founder of the Act 6 initiative. At Degrees of Change, we say that our mission is to prepare diverse, homegrown leaders to succeed in college and to use their degrees to build more vibrant and equitable communities. Now, over the last 16 years, I've had the privilege to walk alongside hundreds of immensely talented young leaders from our community as they've made the journey through college and then found their way back into really significant leadership roles in our community. So it's a joy now to be on the stage with Christian and to be able to talk with him and you all just a little bit. So Christian, I met you when you were a 17-year-old senior in high school, applying for and then receiving, being selected for the Act 6 award. But let's back up a little bit from there, and why don't you tell us a bit about the journey that got you to that point?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Christian Paige. I'm a really proud Tacoma native. Like, I'm the dude when I'm somewhere else, I don't tell people I'm from Seattle, right? Marcus, not for that. There's one of my favorite poets, I'll paraphrase him. He says, I wear my city on my chest like a good sweater to a job interview. And I feel that way about Tacoma because I was born and raised and given opportunities through this city. And so I was a Fern Hill Falcon, if Fern Hill's in the building. I was a Baker Bulldog, if Baker Bulldogs are here. I was a Mount Tahoma T-Bird. Yeah, shout out. And I was a Stadium Tiger. And so I progressed all through this system. I went through programs like Late Night at the YMCA. I don't know if Holy's in the building, but shout out to Holy. My man DJ is in here too, right? And so I know that, like, in Tacoma, that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, and some of them are in this room, and now some of them are on the stage, right? And so I'm grateful, and Tacoma's the place that I get to call home, so.
I love that. You wear Tacoma like a good sweater. That's good. It takes a poet to, but that's a beautiful image, and I think, you know, it really, the number of folks who've invested in you and thousands of other young people like you is really powerful. At the core of the piece you just performed is a challenge for us all to shift ourselves from defining our community and our young people primarily by their deficits, and instead recognizing and leveraging their incredible assets. I know at Degrees of Change, that's kind of the conviction that our work is built upon, but help us unpack that a little bit more. Why is that shift so important?
I think that shift is wildly important if you look at how education is structured right now. I don't know how many of you all work in education, but the problem of practice right now is that individuals are trying to figure out how to solve the racial achievement gap. And I would reframe that thinking to think about what is the service gap that's present. A lot of the times, if you look at like any other organization, any other people, any other group that serves individuals, like if we took movies for the example, right? There was a time where you had to go to the theater to see a movie. And then there was a time where there was Blockbuster, right? Y'all remember Be Kind Rewind, right? And then there was time where it was Redbox, and then it was on demand, and now I can pull out my phone and watch Black Panther on Netflix. Because the idea was that if I could make this service as responsive to the individual as possible, my results are going to be the best. And I don't think that that's where we're at in education yet, right? Because there's an opportunity for us to be responsive to individuals and see them for their collective genius and see them for their funds of knowledge before we see them for the deficit that's present. And I think it'll be reframing of the system that has to happen, right? Because if, I'll use myself as the example, in English class, I was not necessarily given high remarks. Right? As y'all can see, right, like I just synthesized 25 years of my life in 3 minutes and was able to move a crowd. But that's not going to show up in my grades because I don't know how to have an opening paragraph with 3 supporting paragraphs and a closing argument. Right? I mean, it's that idea. And if we were to view students with their ability of what it is that they do have and not look at them from the perspective of like a bar that we hope that they reach one day, right, then we would be able to see them be successful in a very different way. And so I think that that's the idea that I was trying to get at.
Yeah, thank you, Christian. That's a powerful image. So as an artist, as an educator, in the big picture, what are you hoping to achieve in your work? What do you hope that your listeners take away from a performance?
There's a part of that poem where I say, the forest that grew from the forgotten. And I think that there's so many narratives that are representative of our community that don't get heard. And so anytime that I get the opportunity to be on stage or have a platform, I want that to be the core story. What is the narrative that's not heard, and how do now people get to have a new experience because of that? I think it's powerful to listen to folks who have a different opinion than you. It's powerful to listen to folks who love differently than you, who pray differently than you, who look right. All of those different diversity characteristics for us to be able to hear that. And so I know that, like I told you, I wear Tacoma proudly, and I know that a lot of students have similar stories that I do. And there's no way that, right, like this idea of best practices or services that serve traditional students, I know that that doesn't mean me. Right? And so to be able to share that story, for people to have a new perspective and then to take it back to their work, is what I hope happens when I perform.